So these were some of his instructions the day we started.
Srila Prabhupada used to travel with a secretary and a cook, and it was like an entourage, a Sanskrit scholar that was working on his books with him. So it was usually 3 or 4 people that would travel with him. But this time he was going to Nairobi, Africa, and it was a short trip. It was only for 2 weeks or so that we were going. So he decided that I would come with him. Just Prabhupada and myself would go. There was no cook, there was no secretary, there was no Sanskrit scholar. I was going to be, everything rolled in one for those 2 weeks. So I thought, wow, this is fantastic, Srila Prabhupada. I was getting a little burnt out with India. I've been to India for a couple of years then, and it was a struggle in those days. So I was wanting to do something else. So Prabhupada took me to Nairobi. And the day, 3 days before we were leaving, we got this telegram from Brahmananda in Nairobi saying that the deities had broken. They had sent new deities there, and the deities had broken. So, according to Shastra, the deity which is broken is not supposed to be installed in the temple, and that was one of the reasons specifically that Prabhupada was going to install these deities in the temple in Nairobi. So therefore, I had to, frantically go around in Jaipur. We were at Jaipur at that time, and this is where all the deities are made, and marble deities. And we had to frantically travel around Jaipur on a rickshaw for a couple of days, trying to get new deities lined up. So finally, we got new deities lined up, but we couldn't ship them like like on a ship or on a plane or anything like that, because we didn't want to take the chance of them breaking again, and so we personally had to take these deities, and these were big, full-size deities, marble deities, about 3.5 feet tall, 4 feet tall maybe, and they were very heavy. But we took them personally from Jaipur to Bombay. So then when we get on the plane in Bombay, I had to personally carry each deity onto the plane, and we set them in front of us. So Prabhupada had a deity sitting in front of him, and I had a deity sitting in front of me, and we went to Jaipur like that. So it was pretty strenuous, physically strenuous, just to get on the plane. Because Srila Prabhupada walked onto the plane, so I had to go into customs, pick one deity up, walk up the gangplank, onto the plane, put the deity down, and run back, get Krishna, and get Radha, and come up like that. So finally, we got on the plane. And I was a little bit tired. So Prabhupada said, "Oh, so are you ready to fight?" And I said, "Fight, Prabhupada?" "What do you mean?" He said, "We are Vaishnavas, and we must be ready to fight with the Mayavadis." So I said, "Well, yeah, all right." So he said to me, "You be the Mayavadi, and I'll be the Vaishnava. We'll have a fight." So I said, "Oh, Prabhupada, I don't know if I'm qualified to, debate with you like this." He said, "No, you be the Mayavadi." So I said, "Well, all right." So I was the Mayavadi, and here we are flying up over there. What was it? It's the Indian Ocean there or something? I don't know. What's the ocean that separates Africa from India? Anyways, going east. We're flying. We finally got settled, and we're up in the air. So Prabhupada's sitting right next to me like that, right like these flowers here, and we're talking to each other, face to face, with the deities, Radha and Krishna, right at our feet, and we're debating, we're fighting. And so I'm a Mayavadi, and I'm not a very good devotee, so I'm not even a very good Mayavadi as far as philosophically being able to, spar with Prabhupada. But anyways, I took the position of the Mayavadi, and he defeated me, soundly defeated me. So then he said, all right. He said, now he had just defeated me with the Vaishnava, arguments. So he said to me, now I'll be the Mayavadi and you be the Vaishnava. So I said, all right, now I know all the arguments. There's no way he can defeat me. So we started to fight again, argue again. And he was such an expert that he was able to defeat me as a Vaishnava, and he took the position of a Mayavadi. So I said, and then after the defeat, I was totally mortified, but not really, you know. But I thought that, I know a little bit of Vaishnava philosophy. I should be able to defeat, the Mayavadi arguments. And Prabhupada said to me, he said, this is how expert you must become in your preaching. You must be able to take the position of your opponent and know his position so thoroughly that you can defeat your own philosophy with his philosophy. He said, that's how expert you must become in this preaching of Krishna consciousness.
Another lesson in massage, which was always, as Prabhupada's servant, massaging was the best time, being in such close contact, doing nice service, getting to massage Prabhupada's body, especially his feet, was always made you feel very good. And during massage, in the daytime, Prabhupada would usually go over mail. His secretary would come in, and Prabhupada would hear the letters, and he would give answers for his letters. And while he was doing this, of course, you were massaging him. And when you massage Srila Prabhupada, you would do, like you would start on his head, and you would just continually massage his head until he said, okay. Or he would just give a gesture with his body, and then you would go to the next spot. So sometimes in this process, if he would be very immersed in something, you could massage a particular part of his body for a very long time. Massage generally lasted about 1 hour, but sometimes it would go 2 hours, 2.5 hours if he was absorbed in his business. And it was, of course, very nice, but it could also become a little bit tiring. And after being with him for some time, I started to feel I knew what I was doing, quite well. So I would massage his head, and when I felt that I was done, completed that point, I had done it sufficiently, I would move on to the next part of his body. And I was doing this for probably 1 week or so. And one day I was massaging, and I remember I was massaging his head, and then I went and I massaged his back, and he didn't say anything, and then I stopped massaging his back, and I started to get up and move around to the side, and he said, you massage until I tell you to stop, not until you tell you to stop. And from that time on, of course, massage had taken a different turn again to whatever Srila Prabhupada wanted. That's what I would do.
So after flying all that way to Nairobi and being exhausted, we finally arrived at the airport. And now the ordeal of taking the deities off the plane. Radha first getting Krishna down, all the way down to customs, and then go back up to the plane, and then all the way down, get Radharani back over to customs, and wait in line, move one deity, another deity. So gradually we got through customs, and there we are, standing outside, and there's no devotees. There's not one devotee there at the airport. So we're there, we've got the deities, we've got the luggage. So this one Hindu gentleman came over and said, oh, Bhaktivedanta Swami, you're supposed to arrive tomorrow, And Prabhupada said, oh, they've got it wrong again. How many times we've done this? They've got it wrong again. So he says, oh, I have a car, I'll take you to the temple. So we didn't call the temple naturally, we just jumped in the car and went over to the temple, came to the door, the door's locked. All right, so we knock on the door. Prabhupada's there waiting at the door, we knocked on the door. So I still remember it clearly. Brahmananda comes to the door, he opens the door. And there Prabhupada's looking him right in the face. Prabhupada, he goes, oh my God! And he faces the face and says, he's just got a little towel on, no shoes, nothing. And the whole temple, it's the day before Prabhupada arrives, so everything is totally in disarray. The paint is still wet on the banister, the floors are all wet, and construction is going on. And Prabhupada's there, oh my God, he falls flat in his face. Prabhupada, you're supposed to come tomorrow. Prabhupada, where's my room? Oh, it's not finished, Prabhupada, it's not. Where's my room? Oh, back here. So Prabhupada just walked to his room, And while he was sitting there in his room, everybody was frantically running around trying to make his room a room. It wasn't a room when he walked in. It was just a bare, you know, bare room with no bed, nothing. So Prabhupada got in his room, and everything, you know, everything was gradually came about. The deities were installed, but unfortunately,